Welcome into the Lobo Basketball postgame show. New Mexico 92, Eastern New Mexico 71 is your final score. Take the fastest internet to the house with Xfinity XFi. Stream the Lobos all year long on every in-home device, no matter where you want. This is beyond Wi-Fi. This is XFi, Xfinity, proud partner of the University of New Mexico Lobos. My broadcast partner is Hunter Green. I'm Robert Portnoy. We are courtside on Albertsons Radio Row in your postgame show. New Mexico 92, Eastern New Mexico 71. And Hunter, the Lobos were able to stretch it out quite nicely there in the second half and cruise to the tape. What are your first impressions of the 2019-2020 New Mexico Lobos?
Well, I mean, they're going to be a fun team to watch, especially the way they move the basketball. And the fact that, what was lacking last year has definitely, there's a huge improvement in terms of the guard play. Jaquan Lyle, J.J. Caldwell, Zane Martin. I mean, all those guys, I think, will be able to handle the load, whether it's offensively or on the defensive end. As you mentioned a number of times, the quickness of J.J. Caldwell on the ball defending. So, I mean, those are the things that really stood out for me. Secondly, it would be Carlton Bragg. I mean, just the way he's able to move up and down the floor. He's, I think, in better shape. His timing is better. We didn't see much from Jackson. I think, again, we talked about this earlier.
He deferred a little.
He deferred a lot.
That's okay.
And I think that's okay.
That's going to have to happen a bit with this team this year, right? Because they have so many mouths to feed.
Yeah. There's only
It
one
can't be the
basketball.
same guy every night.
Exactly. He started and played a lot, 8 strong. I mean, got into the 9th and 10th player, but I think he's kind of developed his 8-man rotation.
The Lobos win it. 92-71 is your final. We can take a peek at some of the final numbers for the game. The Lobos finish 60% from the field, 33 of 55. They shoot 7 of 20 from distance, 35%, and 19 of 26 from the foul line, 73%. And that finishing number at the stripe is good because they started poorly at the foul line, just 62% in the first half. Eastern, 41% floor shooting. They were 5 for their first 10 from the floor, and then the Lobos, they started to lock down a bit and held them right around that number 40 for the rest of the night. For the game, they wrap up 37.3%, Eastern does, after 40.7% in the first half. 33% three-point shooting for Eastern. The Lobos gave up 6 of 12 threes in the first half to Eastern and then clamped down there and allowed just 2 makes after that. 13 of 20 from the foul line for Eastern, 65%. Turnover numbers, they don't look good in the final analysis, Hunter. The Lobos started to turn it over late, 21 times. They turned over Eastern 22 times. So that number is something that the coaches will be able to look at the tape and, okay, we can clean this up.
That's kind of expected here. First game, a lot of new guys on the first time on the pit floor, and then just, again, the timing and playing it at real time and versus just practice. It's to be expected. I know it was a game last night.
Oh, my gosh. The Duke-Kansas game was a turnover
Kansas
fest.
had 28. So it's to be expected first game out.
You mentioned it right from the beginning. You look at the size of the roster of Eastern. The Lobos would have a paint advantage tonight, and they scored 52-30 in the paint as they outscored them by 22 points in the paint. And Coach Weir talked about it last week in his final preseason presser, reiterated again when I spoke to him at length at the beginning of this week, that we feel like we have a size advantage up front. We're going to have that most nights when we take the floor, and though maybe they're not quite as deep as far as bigs as they were a season ago. There's no Vladimir Pinchuk, for example. They still have 2 outstanding bigs, and they're going to take full advantage of Manigault and Bragg.
Yeah. No question. And I think, Corey needs to step it up a little bit more. I mean, I thought tonight he could have done some things better just because of his size advantage inside and didn't take advantage of that. But he's got to come along because they're going to need him, especially when we talk about going to the inside and taking advantage of the size.
One thing that has been a hallmark is those fast break points when the Lobos can get out and run, utilize their transition. And tonight, no exception. 31-17. Since Coach Weir has been here, he has wanted his teams to run and play a full-court game, and they outscored Eastern 14 in transition points tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. I mean, it looked like the Greyhounds wanted to get up and down with them as well. So, but you got to rebound the basketball, and they were able to do that for the most part. I mean, they gave up 37 rebounds to the Greyhounds, but they had 36 as a team, and that might be an issue. I think Coach will probably talk about that in the post game, is how he probably thinks that they could have done a better job of rebounding the basketball.
One of the symptoms of that, the sort of stalemate in the rebounding column, is the fact that Eastern New Mexico was able to take advantage of second chance opportunities. They had 14 offensive rebounds, and they won those second chance points 16-2. So against a smaller squad, that's something that you can definitely talk about.
Right. Oh, no question. I mean, and granted, those are probably long rebounds.
Yes.
But still, I mean, that's something you want to get better at. And he talked about that in the pregame, is improving and improving on the rebounds is one of the things. And I'm sure he'll bring that up in the postgame.
You know, that's something that happens when you face a team that's going to shoot the three, right?
Long
Missed
rebounds.
threes result in long rebounds. And you've got to guard, and not only do you defend 1 through 5, but you've got to box out 1 through 5,
Right.
find somebody, no matter where it is on the floor, to make sure that you corral those long rebounds too.
It's funny you say that. That's what the coaches yell at practice. Find somebody.
And you know what's interesting? Tell us about this from a player standpoint, because of all the switching that the Lobos do in their man-to-man defense, which makes it look like it's an amoeba sometimes, right? How do you know whom to box out?
And that's a difficult part about switching, because then there's really no accountability. Like, who's your man? Well, I was switching. So when they look at tape, they'll break it down, and you've got to find somebody. Even though, they're switching constantly, you still have to make an effort to find somebody and box them out.
Coach Weir talked about tonight probably not doing as much of the full court type pressure that we might see the Lobos mix in over the course of the year. It's very early, but from what you see of the composition of this roster, so much about extending defensive pressure is predicated on the talent, the athletic ability, the different size, the length, the quickness. Is this a roster that you see being suited to playing full court? It almost felt like last year's roster, as big as it was, ended up not being as well suited to play full court pressure defense.
I watched some practice, and I think this team will do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I mean, in fact, they've even practiced zone. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? The first year we didn't see zone at all. But I think Coach is open to that. He understands he's got the personnel to do multiple things defensively. But I think their philosophy will be to pressure, ball pressure, full court, but more importantly in a half court trapping. I saw a lot of that, and we'll probably see more of that this year.
Coach maybe felt that he was compelled to use some zone last year because the Lobos struggled with their man-to-man defense, and we saw it have some success. Folks think of the route of Nevada as one example, but unless you're fully committed to it in the way that a Syracuse under Jim Boeheim is playing a 2-3, and that's your philosophy, and we're going to learn how to do this better than anybody on the planet, it's hard to slide in and out and do a bunch of different things. Do you have to find an identity, I guess is what I'm asking.
I just think you have to have it in your quiver. I mean, you've got to be able to, because what happens is the opponent has to prepare for it. And so you're making them work on things that you may not even use, but
they got to spend time on it.
It's a threat, so they're going to spend time at it. So I think you do a little bit of everything. I don't have a problem with zone. I have a problem with half-court trap. I don't have a problem with full-court trap. I mean, and they have the luxury because they have the guards to do it.
So the more different arrows you've got in the quiver, the better it is. So the Lobos they're banking credits, right?
That's right.
To pull them out for later use. All right, good stuff, Honor Green. I guess it's time for us to take our first post-game timeout. We're going to get to individual numbers. We'll talk about individual performances as well. We'll take you through all the stats. And, of course, a post-game conversation with Lobo head coach Paul Weir is still to come. The Lobos win it. It's their opener. It's over Division II Eastern New Mexico, 92-71. The post-game show rolls on from Dreamstyle Arena to the Pit. After this timeout, you're listening to Lobo Basketball on the UNM Sports Radio Network. Back on the post-game show, live from Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. We sit courtside on Albertsons Radio Row with my broadcast partner, Lobo legend Hunter Green. I'm Robert Portnoy. Happy to have you aboard on the UNM Sports Radio Network. A big thank you, by the way, to Mike Vitale, our producer and engineer tonight, and my on-site engineer, Michael Carlisle. They are stars. Now, Hunter, some individual stuff, and the number that jumps out at you, you don't often see it, particularly in the college game, when you see that double-digit figure in the assist column. And, man, oh, man, was Jaquan Lyle special tonight. 11 assists in his first appearance as a Lobo, and he did it in just 25 minutes. What did you like about what Jaquan did here tonight?
Well, you know, he sees the floor, his basketball IQ. I mean, he's able to control tempo, but he seems like he's only effective with the ball in his hands. I mean, if there was anything a negative in terms of what I saw in his game tonight, would be that, you know, he was very active with the ball, but didn't see him without the ball in his hands do much. But man, I mean, he's, you know, not having a true point guard last year, in watching this team struggle, and now all of a sudden you've got the luxury of having Jaquan Lyle and J.J. Caldwell to join your lineup. And we keep forgetting about Zane Martin because he could do some things too. But
yep. Those two guys would be the guys that have the experience at point guard, Lyle and Caldwell.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so, you know, a lot of talent out there. That's what I saw. And it's just a matter of how do you bring these talented individuals together over the course of the year.
And so efficient, too. Jaquan Lyle, 25 and a half minutes, 4 of 6 field, 1 of 3 deep, 4 rebounds. He had 9 points, 11 assists, just 3 turnovers, and the team was plus 20 when he was on the court. 11-3 assist-to-turnover ratio. You'll take that all day and Sunday, right?
All day. Now, listen, this is Eastern New Mexico, and I mean, I'm sure the fans out there say, hey, this is only Eastern. Exactly, but we got a preview of kind of the talent level of the Lobo team this year, and I thought it was fun to watch.
Very fun to watch. And you said that your extended family, your Lobo family, those that, pester you with questions and you know, they tell you when they have problems, right, with the Lobo team.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they were sending you a lot of stuff regarding how much fun it looked like this Lobo team might be.
Yeah, a lot. And I mean, I'm sure we'll hear their feedback tomorrow. But I mean, how can you not like watching basketball when the team's got 22 assists? I mean, that's just fun basketball, and looking forward to it, man.
We might have had more no-look dimes in one game tonight than I can remember all last season.
Well, you know what? I tell you what was really key, not just the passes, but the bigs catching them.
Yes,
I mean,
Rags
was catching a lot of those passes right down at the rim and converting
finishing
them. Yep.
You know, I can only remember one time where Carlton had a layup bounce out, maybe a little two-hand flip, you know, that hit the back rim off the window a little too hard and came out. But we talked about it in our open, didn't we, about how maybe Carlton even quicker on his feet, a better base, right? Always, instead of being off balance, always having your feet underneath you because you're quicker and lighter on your feet. He looked good tonight.
Timing. That's the key. He had the timing. You know, when he started last year in December, he didn't get his timing until January, February. So he comes out of the gate with timing, and you could see it. It was evident tonight.
What a sense of satisfaction it must have been for Jaquan Lyle, too, after waiting literally 2 years to step back on the court and play a college basketball game. You're talking about a guy who led his team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, in the Big Ten. That's big boy basketball, banger basketball in the Big Ten. He led his team as a freshman and a sophomore in assists and had to wait out not 1 but 2 years because of that Achilles heel tear that he had to repair. So he couldn't play last year. It must have felt like an eternity for him.
Yeah. You know, when I watch him out on the floor, he's got that old man's game. I mean,
no doubt.
He's 23 years old.
I said the same thing, Hunter.
He's got that old man's game. You know, he's not.
He's like a Tim Williams in the guard position. Remember T-Dub? The old man game?
Yeah.
A little bit of that? Is that fair?
Yeah. Well, I mean, different positions.
Of course, yeah.
Tim had the old man game in the post, but Jaquan Lyle is.
He's got it on the wing.
He has it at the point.
At the point, right? Yep. All right. The Lobos are a winner. Final score tonight, 92-71. New Mexico defeats Eastern New Mexico in its season opener And it's our privilege to welcome in the head coach for Lobo basketball, Paul Weir, joins us here courtside in Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. And Coach Weir, I want to open the floor to start out and just let you reprise sort of your opening comments to the press upstairs, your feeling about your opener here.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the first thing I talked about was everyone in our program, thoughts, prayers, emotions, anything you can think of are with our football team right now, with the Flowers family as well. It's I guess re-say what I said earlier. It wasn't a football player. It wasn't a basketball player. It wasn't a baseball player. It was a Lobo, someone that had been here and been a part of it. He's a California kid, and we have California kids. They knew each other. He has a similar kind of background story to a lot of young men that come here to play football and basketball. And it is I could talk a long time about it, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands, as much as we're into how the football team's doing, the basketball team's doing, everything's doing, this is much bigger than that. And I hope that we all take some time to think a little bit more about it and what we are doing for mental health, or what we are doing to kind of support people and kids and things of that nature. So that was how I started. As far as the basketball game goes, there's a lot of things I think, but at the end of the day, everything I've already thought about this team has continued to kind of show itself. I think we're tremendously gifted offensively. I mean, anybody who just watches the game can see what we have available offensively. It's going to be a year-long challenge to find that mix with so many guys to maintain a flow and obviously take care of the basketball. I think those are going to be things. But then independent of that, my thing all along has been we've got to defend, and we've got to defend. I thought we had some really good stretches tonight. They made some threes early, which, going into the year, we've kind of said as long as they're contested, we're willing to give that, with the line going back, without really having a true rim protector, with trying to keep these guys out of foul trouble. We're kind of saying that's how we built ourselves. And really, when you look at the end of it, they shot 37% from the game, 2 for 12 from 3 in the second half. Making those early threes was, a little bit alarming on the surface, but hey, if that's what they're going to try and do all game, that's okay for us. The issue was the offensive rebounds, so the shot I can live with. It was that second half defensive rebounding we really kind of struggled with. But that's the process. That's where we're on. We've got to find a way to manage this thing offensively with the players we have, and we've just got to remain committed to becoming a good defensive basketball team.
Coach, this game against Eastern New Mexico is really more about New Mexico Lobos and what you guys were able to do today. And you talked about in the pregame, your goal was to improve. How did you guys improve?
I thought that little stretch through, I think it was about the 18-minute mark of the second half, through about the 14, you could see it. We were like the defense was slowly wearing them down. They were settling for long contested shots that earlier in the game they were making. We were making good decisions in transition, and we were good. It just every time we got to it, the turnovers just really affected our defense. I mean, our points per possession, I'm sure at the end of this game, to turn it over 21 times and hold someone to 37% from the field, it's really hard to do, to turn it over that much, because of the points you're going to be giving up on the other end of that. So I liked a lot of things. I thought our defense, particularly in large parts of the first half and that first minute or two of the second half, was just not the on-ball intensity we need to be good. And I told them that I really hope that's not an opponent thing. I really hope that's not something that's really going to bother me here. We need to play with an edge. We need to play with a desperation at that end of the floor. And I thought we had that for a stretch there. I thought J.J. Caldwell led the charge. I thought his defense there, minute or 2 minutes into that second half, and I said that to me, he got us going. And we need more of that. We need guys that are going to come in and impact us defensively, because we're fine at the offensive end. We have enough guys down there that if Hunter's not having his night, Rob can step up. But at the other end of the floor, we can't not have Hunter and Rob ready to rock and engage defensively. So right now the plan is just to get better for Saturday. And I thought today there were some steps, particularly on that end of the floor, but it's got to get better for Saturday.
Everyone had a heart in their throat moment, and I know you did too when you went down to take a peek at Carlton. Yeah, when he went down under the basket. Great to see him get back in the game. What happened there?
Yeah, I don't know. I went down there nervous like everybody else just based on the way he was moving. But, as soon as I got down there and they started talking, it sounded good, and I kind of came back. I didn't know he was going to return, but, the way they were kind of discussing, I said, okay, I feel a little bit better about this. And then it was like he can get back in the game, and I kind of went back and forth on whether to put him back in the game or not. And I just figured, mentally, I'd rather him get out there and just work back through it and not sit the rest of the game and then get back to the next game and kind of maybe be out of rhythm a little bit. So I think getting him back out there was beneficial. I think in the long run, maybe not the short term, but I think it'll make him better for Saturday.
Coach, you had some very excellent play from Jaquan Lyle.
Yeah.
11 assists. I think he had 7 in the first half. Yeah. Basketball IQ off the charts. Can see the floor. Great pass first, shoot second play tonight. Talk a little bit about the younger guys. We didn't see much of Kurt Wagnerscheider and Emmanuel Kwok.
Yeah. Emmanuel missed a big chunk of our preseason. Just got healthy before our Oregon scrimmage, played a few minutes there. As soon as he steps in, picks up a quick foul. The timing is just not quite there. He's a guy we feel really, really good about long term, but unfortunately he's just really behind right now. So we're trying to get him caught up to where he can go out there and kind of get in a rhythm. But really we haven't had a chance to play, and especially without Drew, this is really the first time we've been without him where we needed to get Zane some reps at point. We needed to kind of get some guys used to playing with each other. So those guys that are kind of on the fringe, I didn't, we got to them obviously, but we need to get those guys comfortable with playing with each other, and they've got to get in a rhythm, particularly offensively. And when you turn it over that much, it's clear we're not there yet. They're still not, their timing with each other is not quite there. And they got to get that because we got a lot of gifted offensive guys that have to learn to play well with each other.
You mentioned Drew Drennan. It's been almost a week since you addressed the media last week and told them for the first time about Drew heading home. I thought the fans would love to hear, to the extent that you have an update, what you can tell us.
Yeah, and I probably should
Drew.
have said something in the press conference. Drew is, has a personal situation. It involves his family. There's all kinds of rumors and gossip that come my way. Nothing unfortunate has happened as far as between me and him or him and the program or anything like that. He's a phenomenal young man with a great family. He's home with them right now, and we'll kind of address it as it unfolds. But I think, like I said, when it happened, I don't know when that might be. He needs time and space to worry about Drew Drennan and the Drennan family. And we need to obviously adjust a little bit as well, which we did. And that's why Zane, got the minutes that he did and got the opportunity to kind of play there, because we're going to have to, go forward as if maybe he won't be returning.
Zane Martin, a lot of great things tonight. A few too many turnovers. What did you see happening on those, and what will you talk about with Zane when you guys go over the tape?
Yeah, again, just a really hard guy to guard in today's game because he's so hard to play without fouling. He's just such a physical guy. So I think that's big for him. He's never really got a chance to be a point guard, and this is a great opportunity for him. And we're going to continue to go with this down this road for as long as we can. If at some point we feel like we need to segue, we will. But, he literally has been doing this. This is his first game. So I'm hopeful that's
it's been a week,
a good step. Exactly. So I think we'll see how it goes again Saturday. And again, I think offensively we have what we need. It's just going to take a little bit of managing, a little bit of coaching, and a little bit of just game reps. To me, for us, it's just we've got to get better defensively to where we can really lock people down.
So it's so new to him. His turnovers tonight, not a concern.
A little, we had 2 backdoor cuts off of a ball screen where we were trying to hold guys in the corner, so it really wasn't a bad read by Zane. They were back cutting the corner on the middle ball screen help, and he was throwing it to the corner, and the guys were back cutting. He had a couple of those that, it's like a quarterback throwing a pick and a wide receiver runs the wrong route. It is the quarterback's pick at the end of the day. So that's something that, he needs to learn. He had 2, and I've told him I'm okay if our bigs are running to the rim. I'm okay at times with you guys throwing that to reward the big man for running to the rim. I'm okay with you maybe picking up 1 or 2 there, because let's thank those guys for running to the rim. And he had a couple of those as well where he kind of threw those ones ahead in transition. So that's 4 right there that I can remember, and we'll go back to the film with him and clean them up as best we can.
He hit Quach in the arm with a pass, bullet pass on one of them that probably could have been caught for a layup. Hunter made this point. You have Zane proved it right there, and in J.J. Caldwell and in Jaquan Lyle, you have three guys that if your bigs aren't looking, they could get one right in the chops.
Yeah, no question. It's Jaquan's the smartest basketball player I've ever coached. I mean, he can see things that they can't see. We have conversations that they're great conversations to have, but the other four don't even know what we're talking about anyway. So it's hard for him sometimes to see things that, yes, it's there, but that poor guy might not see it yet either. And it's challenging at times.
And I think that's key. It's interesting you say that because he's got to be careful that because he is so far ahead of
trust
them.
me, we talk about it all the time.
You know that could cause problems.
It happens with scouting reports. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm like, look, man, I don't know if this guy knows and can handle this, and this, and this read and this cut. And it's awesome, and he'll be an amazing coach whenever basketball's over. But right now, that's part of us all learning to play with each other, and getting to know who can and can't do what, and what the sweet spots are, and things like that.
Coach Weir, thank you so much. Congratulations. A season-opening win. CSUN coming up. You guys beat them on a buzzer beater last year.
Bad memories, but good memories, I guess. But that was a tough game.
Yes.
But, I haven't watched anything on them. We'll get ready for Saturday night.
If they're as talented as they were last year.
They are. They're picked to win the league. They're bringing all those guys back. Now, there's one really good player that we don't know his status, but it's a good team. They were a good team last year, and they're picked to win their league. So it should be a really good step for us in competition here.
There's a lot of experience on that bench over there, too.
Yeah.
Oh, the coaches.
Yeah. Gottfried and Herrick.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, that's always
a good team. It'll be a great opportunity for us to continue to progress here. We're in a nice journey that I'm excited about. So hopefully we'll kind of continue that Saturday night.
Well, they're fun to watch tonight, Coach.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Great to be with you.
Yep.
Lobo head basketball coach Paul Weir. All right, time for us to take our final timeout. We come back and wrap it up after this break. 92-71, the Lobos beat Eastern New Mexico. Lobo basketball on the UNM Sports Radio Network. Back for a final time from Dreamstyle Arena to the Pit, New Mexico 92, Eastern New Mexico 71. We are courtside on Albertson's Radio Row, and the best tailgates start with the best beef, and you make your grub the talk of the tailgate with Ranchers Reserve USDA Choice All Angus beef from where? Albertson's Market, where we do beef the best. I'm a tenderloin man myself. Albertson's got the best in town. All right.
They don't have that Wagyu you like?
Oh, my goodness. That's your favorite, bro. Hunter Green's my partner. I'm Robert Portnoy. And the Lobos get the 21-point advantage. Let's get to our Toyota drive of the game. Toyota, let's go places. McClatch catches on the inbound left block after the tee. Beats it out angle left to Zane. Zane splits defenders, goes to the rim, and it curls in. What Lobo fans will see as he strikes the strongman pose is that Zane is a true finisher. Hunter, that one pumped you up.
Yeah, no, and that's what we'll see more of. Zane does that. J.J. Caldwell does it. It's funny because J.J. Caldwell is one of those pass first. So is Jaquan Lyle.
So unselfish.
I think Zane is more of a scoring guard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's interesting to have that balance. And
they're complementary.
And
Zane, in that way, as a point guard, which is not his natural position, but he's learning it, will be more like Antono Jackson, won't he? Score first and pass second.
Exactly.
And that makes him – think about that now. You have such talented guys playing the same position with different skill sets and mentalities. How hard is that going to be for teams to defend?
Yeah, no, I mean, and then also what Coach said is the minutes and, making sure guys are getting minutes. And he really had an 8-man rotation for 3/4 of the game. And, of course, he brought the guys in off the bench, the other 5. But
8's the number, man.
Yeah.
Those Lakers teams of the 80s, the Showtime Lakers, it was 8.
Yeah,
Pat Riley played 8.
Mm-hmm.
They won 5 championships.
Yeah. Guys can get minutes, and everyone's happy.
The Toyota drive of the game. Toyota, let's go places. Zane Martin. Some final numbers quickly here. McQuatch Malwatch led the Lobos with 16 points. He had a couple of 3 balls, 4 of 5 at the charity stripe for Quatch. 5 Lobos in double digits, a baker's dozen for Corey Manigault, Zane Martin, and Carlton Bragg. The Lobos also got a dozen points from Keith McGee, who knocked down a couple of triples himself. The 11 assists for Jaquan Lyle were a team high. 6 rebounds for a bunch of guys. 6 for Carlton Bragg, 6 for J.J. Caldwell, 6 for Zane Martin as they led the Lobos in on-ball defense, and Coach Weir brought it up in the postgame.
Oh, yeah.
He was something there early in the second half.
You were on it. I mean, and that's what he does. I mean, his footwork and his tenacity to stay in front of his man. I mean, he's
Velcroed
he's
to
going
those
to be
guys.
fun to watch. I mean, I think this team, I mean, there's so much talent on the defensive end, offensive end.
So I have to ask you this, because you played on some talented teams. How do you keep everybody happy?
Yeah, I think it's the makeup of guys wanting
the team success.
The team success, but you want your partner, your teammate next to you to succeed, to have, to flourish, whether it's making threes or doing whatever it is he does on the court. Well, you want him to succeed, and I think until you get to that point, it's a challenge because you've got so many guys trying to get theirs, if you will, and instead of wanting their teammate to get theirs. And so it's a process. And I think a guy like Jaquan Lyle, he has the ability to lead that and to bring that out and to support the other guys because he's so talented. And with sharing the basketball, he can make guys around him better. And so I think he's really the key. I mean, he's the alpha on the team. You could see it. And it's so important that part of the game he gets. I mean, if he can get that part and deliver that versus being frustrated because of his high IQ, he can get frustrated at times. And we saw a little bit of that here against Eastern. I mean, can you imagine Nevada comes in the pit and he's 2 steps ahead of his teammates and the guy doesn't see the pass, and then there could be frustration. But so that's the balance, and I think that's going to be the key in this team's success, really, to be honest with you.
And you made the observation. We talked about it. He was kind of turning into that alpha late last year. Vance Jackson probably expects to be an alpha, if not the alpha, and it's going to be incumbent upon all the potential alphas, including Carlton Bragg.
Yeah.
They have to be able to be comfortable deferring on a given night because it's not going to be the same guy every night.
I think that's key. I think sharing. You got to share it and hope for success with your teammate and the whole team as a whole. But that's going to be the challenge of the coaching staff. So how do you get everybody to play well in the sandbox?
We're off and running, partner.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have when you got so much talent.
No question. That's you'd rather have that than the opposite problem.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Mike Vitale, producer and engineer in our studios. Phenomenal work. Michael Carlisle, on-site engineer. Outstanding as always. Paul Ware, the Lobo head coach, joined us pre and post. He's terrific as well. It looks like this Lobo basketball team might be terrific too. Very early, but a good start. The Lobos win it over Eastern New Mexico. New Mexico has its rematch in a home-and-home with CSUN coming up. That's on Saturday. This weekend, 7 p.m. is your tip-off here at Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. 6:30 for the Lobo basketball pregame show. It was to have been a Lobo Athletics doubleheader on Saturday with a noon kickoff against Air Force at Dreamstyle Stadium. Our thoughts, our prayers, our heartfelt condolences, and all of our well wishes go out to the Flowers family, the extended family of the Flowers, and all those close to Najee Flowers, a Lobo defensive lineman who passed away this week. We send our thoughts and prayers to the whole Lobo family, the Lobo Athletics family, and the entire community of the University of New Mexico, the city of Albuquerque, and the state of New Mexico, everybody mourning the passing of Najee Flowers. Partner, I'll see you on Saturday.
Yep.
And the Lobos get CSUN. That was, I believe, a banked-in 3 beat them last year.
Yeah, they're talented.
Anthony Mathis.
They're talented. It's Cal State University of Northridge, which they, of course, rebranded as CSUN, right, with the acronym. So just for the folks that don't know what CSUN stands for.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think they're talented. I thought they had talent last year. So it'll be, I think, a notch up, a step up in terms of competition for the Lobos, and it'll be a challenge here in the Pit.
For my partner, Hunter Green, I'm Robert Portnoy. 92-71 the final. New Mexico defeats Eastern New Mexico. We'll talk to you Saturday from Dreamstyle Arena, the Pit. So long, everybody, and go Lobos. You've been listening to Lobo Basketball on the UNM Sports Radio Network.
You have been